Hello, welcome to the Garden Tourer. Today we're actually in Italy and we're going to visit the Miremare castle, which is just on the outskirts of Trieste. Now this is an absolutely stunning building and we didn't go into the castle, but if you do go in, it's full of its original furnishings and it's well worth a visit. But obviously we're here to have a look at the gardens. Now this castle sits right on a rocky outcrop just south of the city of Trieste. This is the entrance up and this is the main kind of centre of the garden with the castle sitting on the rocky promontory. That's not easy to say. So it's absolutely free to go in, you don't need to pay. And when we were there was lots of people enjoying the gardens. Now the gardens were really established as like a pleasure garden. The castle itself was built for the Austrian Archduke Ferdinand Maximilian and his wife Charlotte of Belgium. It was built in 1856 and completed in 1860. Now it's dead easy to go there, you can take the car, there is a car park at the bottom. Now the car park's long and narrow, so we found when we were trying to get out that it was really difficult to get out because of all the cars coming in. But it is possible just to go by bus, and that's very simple. I mean, right along the beach is basically used as a kind of pleasure area, a lot of people go swimming, and the bus takes you close to the castle. It's a bit of a walk up, but I mean you're already going to walk around it anyway. So as you can see, there's like a lower garden sitting off that main central area that sits at the back of the castle. And it's interesting that this is one of the first statues we see that is a modern statue. Now, throughout the garden there's lots of paths and walks. This is beautiful, so basically you can just wander. It would be wise just to have like good footwear. I mean, a lot of gardens are like that anyway, but we found that the paths were actually very good. But because the garden sits on a steep outcrop, then good footwear would be a good idea. And you will be climbing a little bit as well. Now, as you go down that walkway that we just saw, you come to an area where there's like a formal kind of Mediterranean garden and another lower garden, and these were really beautiful, lots of interesting plants. And the one thing that struck me was that a lot of the hedging was actually bay, so like bay as in for the cooking. So this central garden here really displayed a really nice selection of plants and also statues as well. So there was columns with statues, really like kind of parterre sort of garden. Now, as you can see at the back, there's lots of mature trees and they really were beautiful, and you could walk in between them as well. So within the garden there's lots of different features. There's lots of little pools and fountains, water courses and rills, obviously paths. There's open areas, statues, traditional statues, but also modern statues as well. Overall, the garden style is Mediterranean and really the setting is just beautiful. Now at the top end of this garden here there's a couple of really beautiful statues, and in between is a building that is the cafe. So we'll come back to the cafe in a little while, but the cafe was very nicely done and just in a good location as well. It wasn't too far away if you wanted to really go. So as I say, this garden is free and a lot of people use the garden for different things. So obviously a lot of tourists will visit and do a bit of a round, but the locals use it as well. And we saw quite a few people actually jogging and using the park for their own everyday recreation. Now, sitting just a little bit higher up from the cafe on a different level, there is the greenhouses. Now, there was nothing in the greenhouses, but this was still a nice little garden area as well. So obviously a lot of plants that you would expect to see, lots of Mediterranean plants. Quite envious actually. When you live in Scotland, you basically want to grow all these plants, but it's just not going to happen. What was nice was that all these little areas were kind of really nicely defined. Like this little area here, because it's walled and it's separated, it's got its own little area, and you kind of walk through and you discover one area and then it leads into another area and then it leads into another area, and then you're kind of more into parkland. So behind the greenhouses here, you're at the start of this kind of parkland area that sits on a hill. Now when we were there, The weather was absolutely beautiful, but it was a little bit like Scotland again. You get all the weather in one day, and a big black cloud came overhead, and you could see that there was a storm coming. What was good about that was it didn't last. We got a bit of a downpour, and then it just kind of blew away. But there was thunder and lightning. It was quite impressive and not really a big issue. We were just able to stand under a tree, and as I say, it just blew past. So this was just before it actually arrived, and yeah, then it just started. So that was kind of like a little highlight in a way, just having that bit of weather. Now, as you can see, these beautiful trees are really nice and mature. There's lots of opportunity to walk, and there you can see there's a little shuttle bus. So it is possible to get a little bus up to the castle, and that would be better for people who have mobility problems, and just an easier way to get around it, maybe a little bit quicker. Now at the back of here, we noticed there was like a main road. So the castle is open from different avenues, but I think the nicest way to come in is that bottom road from the coast. This was like a little hunting lodge that was sitting up, and then in front of that there was like a big pond, which we met a couple of ducks there, and they were having a good time. What is really nice about this garden is the views. So you keep coming across different vistas, and they just open up, and you can just see the sea, or you can see statues, and the vistas really made essentially what's not a huge garden feel a lot bigger. So it was a comfortable size to get round. Now it's actually 22 hectares in size, which is 54 acres. And originally it was a private garden for the couple. So this was never a garden that was built to be open to the public or to use to show off. It was really for their private use. So essentially we've got like a pleasure garden and a walk-in garden. So you can go for just a private little walk around your own space. And as I say, it's kind of sectioned into little compartments. So this was behind the cafe. Like a little kind of staged area, which would be quite good. And there you are, you're looking out to sea again. Now, in the cafe, good choices of cakes, good choices of sandwiches, and of course we couldn't resist, we had to have very nice coffee with a bit of cake. So this is sitting at the cafe and looking out over that parterre garden. Now there's some interesting plants. They even have a giant sequoia in the park, but you can see lots of palms, different things, like just a nice mix actually, from kind of succulents to grasses into nice hedging. And I have to say the general condition of the whole garden was absolutely beautiful. The place was spotless, everything was well maintained. I suppose there was maybe a lot of repetition in some of these flowers. So like the agapanthus, there was great big beds of agapanthus, and that kind of repeated a lot. Going from that lower terrace there, you come back towards the castle into like a small little area. You can see a couple of gardeners working there. And it is possible to walk around the front of the castle, and a lot of people were taking selfies and photos there and really get the view out to the sea and back to Trieste. Now, is this worth going to? I would say definitely. If you're in the area, then just go. It really is worth it. Beautiful place, beautiful gardens, beautiful location, and the sea was crystal clear. Afterwards we went up and had a look at the church that sits up on the hill here, and it's a brutalist modern church that you've never seen the likes of before, but that was definitely worth a visit as well. So overall, a wonderful place to go, beautiful pleasure gardens. Some people take picnics, some people have a little sleep. So overall, a great place to visit for all the family. So until next time, take care, and we hope to see you soon.